cross-site scripting, 0-day, and CollabNet. Wrote a script on how to install Beef, onto Pawnee Plug Elite, and I has a lot of certs. So I do the studyings.
No CEH?
No.
The following is a presentation of NoVA Hackers, brought to you by Compute Cycle.
Functions to basically hide the Metasploit payload whenever it goes onto the disk. It won't get around any AV that watches memory processes or things that like are triggers, like FireAll will pick it up. So here's what happened to me. I was on an internal assessment. I did the Nmap scans, ran the vulnerability scanner, and where's Mubix? He left. You don't start off with Nessus. You start off with Nexpos. And there's MSOA 067, and I was like, oh great, this is gonna be easy. So run the exploit, and I had the customer's test laptop, and sure enough, right there, semantic endpoint protection goes, no way, not gonna happen. So that's when I started looking into what can I do to evade that type of setup. And that's when I found Veil, and it was real easy to install. You just clone it, and then run the setup script. Nice little prompt interface. It walks you through pretty much everything. It makes it real easy for someone, or you can do a command line with options.
How many backdoors does it install when you run it?
None that I found. So I went with the command line, and just you can kind of see here the L was for the language, which was Python. They had C, they had some other options there. You can use the payload, which was DES that I used, virtual allocation, which means that it wrote to memory. And then you define your MSF payload, of course using Windows, Meterpreter, reverse HTTPS, and then you use your local host, which was that at the time, and the port 443, and then you output the file to an exe. Once that gets done, it's put into the output folder, and then copy it to your customer's laptop, and there it is sitting on the desktop, and it did get picked up. Once you run it, as long as you have your multi-handler running, it'll create the shell back to you. One of the things that I did run into was, so like if you found credentials and you wanted to use like psexec, I was having a little trouble at first trying to figure out how to actually define that custom exe, and you have to dig around. But that's the command right there. If you type set exe : custom, and then wherever your exe is at, that'll let you use that custom exe instead of like a payload or something. At the time that I ran it, those were the payloads that didn't work on Windows XP and Windows 7, and meant to always get back with Chris and figure out what was the deal with them. I think it was just the way that the functions ended up writing. So, and show it real quick. It's brand new, state of the art. Sorry, I was working on some Python programming.
So why did you decide to use Veil?
That was I tried that one. I tried a lot of blogs said to like use MS encode, Shikata Ganai, and I was like, wait a minute, that's just encoding the payload. Once it touched the disk, semantic endpoint always picked it up. I also did embedding interpreter into another exe, and that worked out good. But that was the only easy setup project that I could find that would just generate something quickly, and I could copy it to a disk, execute it, and then have to do any of this crazy stuff. One blog I read was the guy was talking about editing the exe to change stuff and things like that, and I was like, yeah, I don't have all that time. So I just wanted something quick. So again, it's really easy setup. If you wanted to see all the payloads, there's all the payloads there. And this is what you specify when you do the -p. You know, you do native or like Python. So the one I went with was the des, and then you set generate. You can pick up MSF Venom, and you can just push tab, and it'll tell you all the payloads that you can do right there. So really, really well written out. Interpreter. Just gonna pick whatever.
What's this RC4 DNS thing?
All right, and then there it is. It tells you right there where it's at. So real easy, real quick. Any questions on Veil? Chris will probably be the guy to ask. All right. All right, thanks everybody.
Any other AV like back AV?
No, not at the time. That was the one that I was trying to get around because I was
This
on that
has been a
internal, and that's all they
presentation
had.
of NoVA
I was just-
Hackers,
I was going to get
brought to
around
you
it.
by Compute Cycle, a Cranial Thunder production.